Welcome, everyone. Today's topic is the math of early retirement. So we're going to do something interesting today and different. If you have any lingering questions that you want answers for, please do me a favor and send them via the chat. We're going to address them all. Even if it's not related to today's topic, please send them out. That's going to help us understand where you are at any questions that you have. We'll be happy to address them today at the end of the webinar. So please send all your questions, anything that is in your mind that you've been wanting to know, send them out. Any resources you might need, send them via the chat, okay? Super, super important. Please make sure that you send your questions via the chat. We're gonna do a Q&A at the end of the webinar, okay? Whether it's related to today's topic or not, please send them out. We wanna make sure that you get answers today. Okay, so let's dive into it and talk about the math of early retirement in real estate. So this is how it works today. So we have this graph where you have the net worth right here. So we're putting 1 million, and then right here, age. So what we have here is most people, this is the average, they want to retire at the age of 65, 67, and up. Okay, so typically it takes this long for people to retire, to save up about $1 million, okay? And this is accomplished through pension plans, 401ks, retirement plans, okay? Now, this is what the problem is. Problem number one, you've got to wait forever, right? Till you are 60, 70. I mean, life is short, and who wants to wait that long? What if you could retire at mid-50s, upper 40s? How would that be like? Can you imagine? What would you do with that extra money, extra time? And not only that, but problem number two is that once you reach that retirement age, right, you have your pension plan, then what's going to happen next? You're not going to work anymore, right? You're not going to generate any income. So now you start the withdrawal process. So you start withdrawing money from your pension plan, from your 401k. So what's going to happen to your net worth over time? So your net worth over time is going to decrease. And this is a very scary and terrifying thought for many, many people who are in the retirement process, right? Because they're super scared whether they have saved up enough money for them to retire. What if they have an emergency? How are they going to be able to cover that? Will that fund be enough for it? So there are too many questions, and unfortunately, this is reality, right? So it takes forever to retire, and not only that, just to find out that once you've retired, your net worth is going down very fast. Okay, so now let's switch the scenarios. This is what I want to show you. Something that you want to really pay attention to. Okay, so we don't want to wait until retirement age, right? So we want to do it earlier. The earlier, the better. So somewhere in between the 40s and 60s, okay? You want to reach, let's just put the same dollar amount for sake. So 1 million net worth, okay? And now what we want is, we don't want our net worth to decrease. We want the net worth to increase as we age. So the graph is going to look like this, right? So the question is, how do you accomplish that? How do you retire early, but yet have your net worth continue to increase, okay? Here's the answer. The answer is through real estate rentals, okay? Why is that? Building wealth in real estate is accomplished through rentals. That's simple. Why is that? Because over time, guess what happens to property values? They're going to go up. Therefore, your net worth will go up. And not only that, but what happens to rentals? Rental income over time. How is the rental market? Rental market is going to outperform flips and wholesales in the next 2 to 3 years. Just as an example, overall population grows on a yearly basis. So what happens to the basic need of, it's a scarce resource, having a place to live. People will need a place to live regardless of the economy. Even if there's such a huge wave of pre-foreclosures, guess what? Even if those people get dismissed of their homes, they still need a place to live. Therefore, rentals will always outperform any exit strategy in real estate that you may think it's the best. So rentals is the way to go. So you're gonna not only increase your net worth over time, but your passive income over time will continue to go up. So you will never, ever, ever have to worry about your net worth decreasing or running out of cash, okay? So now the question is, how can you ramp up your rental portfolio? So let's talk about that. What is it that you need to really ramp up your rental empire? Okay, so we've done over 30 rentals in the last 2.5 years. So what did it take us to do that? So I'll give you the secret. To be able to accumulate rentals, you're gonna need pretty much 3 things. I'm gonna put them right here on the board so that you can see them. Number 1, you're gonna need knowledge, okay? Number 2, you're gonna need time, okay? Sorry, you're gonna need a team, you're gonna need knowledge, and then you're gonna need deals.
Where are you going?
Okay, so 3 things.
Somewhere out there?
Knowledge, you need a team, and you need deals. That's what you need, okay? So the question is, how do you ramp that up super fast? This is how you're gonna do it. Okay, when it comes to knowledge, it's impossible to know it all. Even the pros don't know it all, okay? It is that simple. We've been 100% committed in the last 3 years to real estate. And guess what? We still make mistakes. We don't know it all, but we know enough. So let me tell you, the pros, this is what they have. They have a team and they have great deals. And guess what? They have a basic understanding of analysis. By no means they have a super high IQ. By no means they have more hours a day than you and I combined. And by no means they're like a math wizard, okay? They understand basic analysis. That's what I mean by knowledge in real estate. So you need a great deal. You need a team of people to help you, because real estate is a complicated transaction, but you don't need to do it all. And this is one of the mistakes that people make, okay? They want to take on everything. They want to do it all. And that's a big, big problem, okay? So you don't have to try to do everything yourself. That is the key. Because guess what? You're gonna become the main bottleneck of your own success when you try to do it all. Like I see people, you know, they're buying properties, and I ask them, so are you gonna manage the properties? And they'll say, yeah, it's gonna be self-managed. Big mistake, right? Because guess what? You're spending your valuable time in tasks that are not going to make you money. Instead, you should focus your time on the things that are going to make you money in real estate. And there are very few things that are going to make you money in real estate. Number 1, to be able to get deals, you're going to need to talk to listing agents, talk to owners, and make offers. So again, this is going to be divided into 3 things: talking to listing agents, talking to owners, and making offers. Okay, that's what it takes to get deals. And then when it comes to the knowledge, I'm gonna give you the $1 million secret. It is so simple. It took us 2.5 years to figure this out, okay? So when it comes to knowledge, what we mean by knowledge is you've got to be able to very quickly analyze if a property makes sense to see if you move forward, okay? How do you do that? Very simple. And I've used this formula over and over and over. Including, I used it like yesterday. I'll show you the secret. So from the purchase price, whatever the purchase price is, as an example, let's take 100,000, okay? So from that price, then you have to add $100,000, okay? So it should appraise for 200,000 and the rehab should be less than 50,000. So I'm gonna write down that secret, okay? So secret is from the price that you buy it, let's assume 100,000, you need to add, so I'm gonna put the plus sign, 80 to 100K, and the rehab should be less than 50,000. So I'm gonna put rehab. Okay, so this is an incredible formula that has worked for us amazing. I'm gonna repeat this again. From the purchase price, an example, 100,000, you need to add 80 to 100,000 to that number, and that should be the ARV, okay? So this property should appraise for close to 200,000 when you pay 100, and the rehab amount to bring up the property to its previous glory should not exceed $50,000. So when you have that, guess what? It's a home run deal. And guess what? When you find these type of deals, the byproduct of it is that people, team members, are gonna wanna be part of it. They're gonna give you the money for the funding. They're gonna wanna put in time to work with you as a partner in a joint venture. They want a piece of the pie. That's simple. So you have to focus on finding great deals where the spread is 80 to 100,000 and the rehab is less than 50,000. Now, a rehab, what does it mean to be less than 50,000? What it means is that the rehab should be light to medium. So you're updating the kitchen, the bathroom. When you put money in kitchens and bathrooms, your money is going to double when it comes to the appraisal value. So let me give you an example. A kitchen, to do a new kitchen, you're going to spend about 10,000. When it comes to the appraisal value, it's going to add 20 to 25,000. A bathroom, you're going to spend about 4 to 6,000 on a new bathroom. It's going to add 10 to 15,000 on the appraisal value on the back end. That's where you need to put your money. And guess what? When people make a decision on the property, guess what they really fall in love with? They fall in love primarily women, right? Kitchen, super important. Bathrooms, super important. The rest is not as important, okay, as kitchen and bathrooms. That is why when you put in your money in kitchens and bathrooms, you're gonna double your investment. That's simple, okay? So light to medium rehabs. That means that you're touching light electric work, light plumbing, light HVAC. You are updating the kitchen and the bathroom, brand new. You're updating the flooring, painting, some light fixtures. That's about it. Perhaps some minor roof repairs, window repairs. That's about it. What you are not doing is you're not putting a new electric system. You're not putting a new plumbing system. You're not putting a new HVAC system. You're not putting a new roof, new windows. No, you're not doing that, because every time you touch one of those systems, it's going to add about $10,000 to $12,000 per system. This is with the assumption that the property has less than 2,000 square feet. Okay, so we're focusing on single family homes, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, so small properties. Okay, because the minute you look at properties with square footage over 2,000, then the rehab goes through the roof, right? Why? Because when you look at the kitchen, let's say the countertop, it's from here to 20 feet, right? So that's like 3,000 to 4,000 just on the granite countertop. So you've got to stay on the small 3-bedroom, 2-bath properties, because that's where you're going to maximize your profit, minimize your risk. Not only that, but purchase price should always be less than 200,000. Okay, the minute you start going over 200,000 for the purchase price, guess what? Your risk goes through the roof and your rehab expense goes over 50,000. Okay, you've got to keep your investment small, single family homes, and ideally no basement. Okay, no basement. We found that it's just the way to go when it comes to rentals. The reason why is because when you have floodings, and it might not be your issue in your home, it might be the city's sewage that is backing up from the street onto your property. Okay, guess what? Flooding in the basement is going to be super expensive. Why? You have all the mechanicals in the basement. You have the laundry, washer and dryer, and you might have some personal belongings there. So not only are you going to ruin the mechanicals and the washer and dryer, but you will also need to replace some of the drywall, right? And then you need to dehumidify. So it's a big deal. That can cost you up to $10,000 easily. I'm telling you from experience. We've had 2-3 floodings in basements, like they became swimming pools, right? So just be aware of that. Of course, we're not gonna ditch a property because it has a basement, right? We'll just not finish the basement if it's not finished. But just be aware that we always love like crawl space or slabs, so no basement. That's our preference when it comes to rentals. But again, let's quickly summarize. Properties less than $200,000 for the purchase price, no more than 2,000 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, no basement, brick. We favor brick over siding. That adds a value of about 10,000-15,000. Plus, people love brick. So that's the $1 million secret for you to analyze properties very quickly. So let me give you an example. A property that came through ChicagoDealVault, banked-on property. It was in a C- neighborhood, but this is what caught my eye. The purchase price was $110,000, right? So the rehab, I wanted to know and did some research as to previous pictures of the same property. So in 2016, it was a go rehab, completely rehab. Everything was brand new. So the property looked super beautiful. So my thinking was through wear and tear, it's not gonna be a medium rehab, it's gonna be a light rehab, maybe paint, some light fixtures, some repairs. So I was thinking maybe the rehab is gonna be 15,000 and it would appraise close to 190. So we had a big spread. So I went to the property and it was occupied. I knocked on the door and then talked to the owners. I said, listen, your property is going to get auctioned off in 2 days by the bank. We can offer you cash for keys. We typically offer $3,000 in exchange for access to the property and possession of the premises when we close on the property. In exchange, we're going to give you $3,000 that is going to help you for your moving expenses, relocation. So the guy told me, well, 3,000 is not going to work. We're looking for like 10,000. Okay. That was a bit too steep. Okay. So then I said, well, I need to talk to my partner and then look at the numbers. So we looked at the numbers and then the most we could offer for cash for keys was 7,000. So I said, listen, we'll give you 7,000. He never responded. So we won't pursue a property that is occupied. Why? Too risky. They might never move out. The moratorium on eviction is set for January 12th, but that might be extended. So you won't be able to get them out anytime soon, especially in the city of Chicago, Cook County, right? And not only that, but disgruntled owners or tenants can vandalize the property. So we won't buy properties that are occupied. So we had to take a pass on the property. But again, the key point is that you need to analyze the property super fast. How much am I going to pay for the property? 111,000 or 10,000. Rehab is going to be probably 15,000 based on the pictures. So that's 125, but it will appraise for 190. So you have enough equity. You need to have at least 25 to 30% equity to be considered a great deal. So again, you don't need a calculator. You don't need any software. All you need is to add 100,000 and make sure the rehab is less than 50,000. Again, let me give you a tip of advice when estimating the rehab. When you're doing the new kitchen, a new bath, that's just considered right out of the box a medium rehab. So for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, less than 2,000 square feet, it's going to be 35,000, no less than that. Now you always need to add a cushion for light plumbing, light electric, maybe some windows, some roof repairs. Therefore, you need to add a cushion of at least $10,000. So that is why it's very easy to hit the $50,000 rehab on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath when you redo the kitchen and the bathroom, okay? Please stay away from god rehabs, especially with the pandemic. We're gonna have declining prices in the next 2 to 3 years. Why? Because the huge wave of pre-foreclosures that are gonna come towards the summer, fall, are going to increase the supply of inventory, causing property prices to adjust. They're going to drop about 10 to 15%. Not tremendously, but still, you're going to have declining prices. So doing a gold rehab is too risky because what you come up with the ARV today might be 10, 15% less by the time you finish the project. So super, super careful. We recommend to stay away from gold rehabs. Just do minor, they call them micro flipping. So very simple, easy flips. That is recommended, especially right now that it's a seller's market. There's a very high shortage of inventory and a huge supply of inventory. Why? Because interest rates are so low. Therefore, affordability is up. Buyers can buy more. Therefore, the pool of buyers has increased tremendously, and people are paying crazy money today. But again, to get back into the subject, you should be able to analyze properties very, very quickly. That's what we mean by knowledge, okay, of real estate. And let me tell you something that a lot of people skip or they forget about. You could become the best at analyzing deals just applying the formula that I gave you. But guess what? If you invest in the wrong market, everything can go down the tubes. Therefore, guess what? There are flipping markets and rental markets. So if you're going to take on and retire early, you have to invest in the top rental markets. Okay, it's not going to make sense to invest for a rental in a top flipping market or vice versa, right? What do we mean by top rental markets? Okay, top rental markets mean that the property prices are going to be less than $200,000, but yet the rents are going to be over $1,500 and up. Okay, that makes it a market, a top rental market. Okay, so you want to command top dollars for the rent, but yet be able to pay less than $200,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So let me give you an example of and then it has to be in a good neighborhood. Okay, so that's key. Away from busy streets, train tracks, rivers, and so forth. Okay, so that is super, super important, friends. That you stick to top rental markets, and through ChicagoDealVault, we give you access to the top rental markets. Okay, so like in the property that I went to see yesterday, guess what? It was a top rental market, but it was not a flipping market by no means, because we found out through ChicagoDealVault that it would take just marketing the property no less than 6 months to sell the property. Okay, so we look at the months of housing supply. What it means is that it's going to take at least 6 months for us to sell the property, and that is based on how many properties are sold on a monthly basis and the supply of inventory in that market. Okay, so by no means we could do a flip in that neighborhood. It was just obviously for rental purposes. So again, you've got to understand the market like the back of your hand when you are investing in rentals. You need to focus in the top rental markets. Let me just give an example. Berkeley, Allsip, Hillside, those are among the top rental markets. Why? Because you can still buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for about $170,000. And the rents are over $1,750 per month. So it's crazy. The numbers are going to work incredibly well for cash flow, meaning rentals. So again, doing the analysis is awesome, and I just gave you the $1 million formula that is going to take you seconds to analyze the deal. But again, you've got to focus on the top rental markets. And that was one of the mistakes that we made at the beginning, that we invested in a rental in a flipping market. So it was just not working out. We ended up selling the property. It was just kind of a disaster where we couldn't cash flow. We got bad tenants. So it was just a nightmare. So that is why it's so critical for you to understand the market, where you're going to invest. You need to look for markets that are growing, meaning the population is growing, employment is good, crime is low, schools are decent. That is the condition for a good market. And also location, location, location. Please be aware of pockets. Every single neighborhood, especially in the city of Chicago and even in the suburbs, you do have pockets. So through ChicagoDealVault, I'm going to show you that we integrated with Trulia. Trulia has an amazing heat map for crime. So given the address, we can pinpoint if the property is in a pocket that is high crime, for instance. Okay, so I love that feature. We always look at location, location, location once the market makes sense. And then we move into the analysis. So that is the process. Number one, understand your market, top rental market. Number two, location, location, location. It has to be in a quiet street, nowhere near rivers, streams, floodplains, busy streets, commercial strips, none of that stuff. And then the numbers. It needs to make sense where you have an $80 to $100 spread and the rehab is less than 50. Okay, so next, that makes it the knowledge and the great deals. Okay, so now the question is, where do you find great deals? Okay, great deals are going to come primarily from off-market properties. So technically, those properties are not for sale. They're owned by the banks or by distressed owners, people who can't afford the mortgage. So they're going to lose eventually the property to the bank, to the foreclosure process if they don't take action. If you and I don't come forward and help those people get out of that bad situation. Okay, MLS is very competitive. You can still find deals, but it's a lot harder. Off market is the way to go. So we're primarily focusing on bank-owned properties and pre-foreclosures. Those are the two major lead pipes due to the pandemic that are gonna make your returns go through the roof and find these great deals with that big of a spread. Now, why pre-foreclosures? Pre-foreclosures, again, because there's such a huge backlog of pre-foreclosures already that are gonna come in the market in the summer. Not only that, but guess what? The forbearance program is going to end in March 2021, in a couple of months, 2 months. What that means is that people who cannot pay for 12 months worth of mortgage that they were forgiven, not forgiven, that they let them not pay, guess what? It comes due March. So they have to pay a lump sum worth of 12 months of mortgage. And if those people are still unemployed, guess what? They're going to enter the foreclosure process immediately. So that's going to make the tsunami wave of pre-foreclosures even bigger. That is why pre-foreclosures is going to be one of the hottest lead pipes. Bank-owned properties, shadow inventory is the second biggest lead pipe, because guess what? A lot of these pre-foreclosures are going to be taken over by the bank. The bank is not in the business of real estate. They are in the business of lending. So guess what? They just want to get rid of all these properties. And oftentimes you end up buying properties paying 50, 60 cents on the dollar, which is a bargain. And that's what you're looking for, okay? So again, that's finding deals, and I'll show you where to find those. And the next one is having a team. A team, it is so critical, because in real estate, guess what? You're gonna need an attorney, you're gonna need an inspector, you may need a broker, you're gonna need title, you're going to need contractors, you're going to need a series of people that are gonna help you be successful. So if you happen to work with the wrong individual, guess what? Your transaction may fall through the cracks. So we're going to give you access to our preferred partners, people that we've used in the past, that we trust, that have helped us become successful. So that is super, super important, including general contractors, plumbers, electricians, roofers, windows, where we buy our kitchen cabinets from, HVAC. All of that is super important, because guess what? If you have the knowledge, meaning you found a great neighborhood, a great property, you did the analysis, and guess what? When it comes time to do the rehab, if you hire the wrong contractors, guess what? Your carrying cost can go through the roof, and your net profit can just decrease automatically, right? So it's super important to work with the right contractors. And finally, if you decide to sell the property, you have to list it with the right broker. So having the right team, it is super, super critical. Now, what are the basics that you need when working with the team? You're gonna need to have the foundation, meaning you're gonna need to have your entity, your corporation, either an S Corp, an LLC, Why is that so critical? Because when buying properties in real estate, by having a property by your rentals has tremendous benefits. I'm going to tell you the three biggest benefits. Okay, number one, funding. Hard money lenders and private money lenders are asset-based. They're going to be looking at the deal. Make sure that you have a great deal. And they want to lend to your entity. You know why? Because they can foreclose on the entity in as little as 6 months. But if they lend to your personal name, guess what? They can take up to 2 years before they can foreclose on your personal name. That is one of the biggest reasons why you need to have an entity for funding purposes. Also, asset protection. You need to protect your personal assets from your business. By buying properties under your entity, you're going to be protected. And reason number three, tax benefits. And the biggest tax benefit is depreciation. When you buy properties under your entity and you get to write off depreciation, it's huge savings when it comes to paying Uncle Sam. That is huge. And that is one of the secrets why the rich get richer. Because guess what? If they make $100,000, they get to keep most of it through depreciation. Okay, they know how to utilize taxes versus a standard John Doe who works for a company. Right off the bat, they're going to lose 30% of their income towards state tax, income tax, and so forth. Okay, so buying properties through your entity has huge tax benefits. You're going to get to keep most of your profit when you buy properties through your entity. Okay. Now, are there any questions on the line? I want to cover some of the questions. Again, they don't have to be related.
It works out.
Are there any questions on the line? Can everyone hear me okay? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is a time for all of you to answer, to ask questions, whether it's related to the topic or not. Okay, so we're gonna go and answer.
Hugo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hugo, so you mentioned before to have a your entity. So I thought about this question last time for the inner circle, but I forgot to ask it. Is it better to go to LegalZoom or to go to like Patrick to the preferred partners?
Okay, so I like to work with people. So my personal preference is to go through the accountant. So we have either Patrick Noon or Andrew Thomas. Okay, so Andrew Thomas has created our entities. Okay, he can do that in about a week's time, and it's going to be about 500 to 600. So it's super fast. So that's my preference. We've also used LegalZoom. It's just another way, depending on your preference. But we personally like to work with people, also because they do our taxes, right? So it just makes it simple. They understand our entities, and they can position you for growth in real estate when you work with them. Great question, Julian. Anybody else?
Hugo?
Yes, go ahead.
It must be my echo. This is Terry. I have a question. Do you guys do any type of sandwich lease options where you can get a good qualified renter to stay in there for a year to two and to cash out when they get a conventional finance?
Yeah, no, I understand. We have not done sandwich leases with our rentals. The trend right now is to have the option to give the tenants the option to buy the property. So lease to own, that's very popular because they need to give a big down payment, and there are usually people who are building their credit. They have solid income, but no, we have not done sandwich lease options.
So the list to own strategy, they come in, rent it out. Is there an agreement before they move in that they can have an option to buy it, to buy the property?
Absolutely. They have the
It's
option
called
to
a
buy the
list.
property.
Okay, that's called a list to own.
Yes, rent to own, rent to own. So,
Oh,
and they're going to give you a big deposit. So it's usually between 5 to 10,000 and it's non-refundable. And then you have to agree to the purchase price upfront. So let's assume the contract is for 2 years, and the property is worth today maybe 200,000. Then you can make it maybe 215. That's the purchase price in 2 years. And the rent money is not applied towards the purchase price. Rent money is rent money. Okay. They just have the non-refundable deposits, which is great, right? That's something that if they don't buy the property, guess what? They lose that deposit. Otherwise, that deposit is going to be applied towards the purchase of the property.
okay, thank you.
No problem.
Hey,
Okay.
Hugo.
Any other questions?
Hey, Hugo.
Yes.
Hugo, this is Hip Rodriguez.
Okay. Hi, Hip.
I got a question. I'm having a hard time finding lenders that will take the down payment money that's not seasoned for at least 60 days, in some cases 90 days. Do you have any recommendations or any lenders that you guys work with that can help me out with that?
Okay, so tell me more. What exactly are you trying to do? Are you trying to buy a property? Are you trying to refinance, or what exactly are you trying to do?
No, to buy a property. To buy a property.
Okay, so you're trying to buy a property, and then they're asking you for seasoning on what?
On the down payment money. Like I'm trying to get like pre-approved, I guess, with a hard money lender, and that's
Yes,
what they're asking me for. A little background: I'm trying to get so that I can get in with Jacob,
yes.
and I know that obviously before I get to that stage, I need to make sure that my ducks are in a row, and as part of it is the pre-approval.
Okay, so yes, let me give you our resources. I'm gonna pull them up on the screen right now. Let me share my screen with all of you. I'm gonna show you the ones that we used in the past. So here in ChicagoDealVault, you go to Refer Partners, and then Harmony Lenders. So I scroll down to Harmony Lenders. We have over 27. So I go to the second page, and then you can reach out to the last one, Renovo, Brandon. They're very fast. I mean, they can close in as early as 2-3 weeks. Super fast, and they don't require seasoning on your down payment. In fact, you know, they just ask us for the latest bank statement.
Okay, because I've reached out to Renewal in the past, and they've required seasoning.
Oh, they
But
did?
I'll reach out to
Brandon, talk to Brandon.
I'll talk to Brandon then. Okay.
Yeah, it was right here. We've also used Barnett Capital. They're also really good. Barnett is the second one, the second option. Barnett is also very, very good. And then don't forget, you can also reach out to private money lenders. That's just another great source for funding. Our last 2 transactions have been funded by private money lenders. And in fact, we're gonna have a talk tomorrow just about that. So I'm gonna bring a hard money lender and I'm gonna bring a private money lender, okay? So we're gonna talk about the differences and what they're looking for. So in fact, I might bring Brandon tomorrow. So make sure that you join tomorrow's webinar.
I will. Thank you.
Perfect, Kip. Any other questions on the line?
Hey, Hugo. I have a question.
Yes.
So basically, I was just wondering right now, do you think it's a better time for someone starting off to basically just flip properties in like south side of Chicago, or do like the ones you said that are coming up for closure in like the Lombard area and stuff like that?
So the question is whether to do flips in the south side or to focus in Lombard in the page for flips as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the answer is right now you need to focus on BA markets. Okay, so A markets are the most expensive, and D markets are the least expensive, the most challenging markets. So guess what? Due to the pandemic, people living in C and D markets, many of them have been heavily affected by the pandemic, meaning they got laid off. Versus B and A markets, guess what? They are white collar people, they get to work remotely from home. So they're least affected from the pandemic. So to do flips, to be able to command top dollars, I highly recommend to focus on B and A minus markets. So Lombard makes it probably a B market in DuPage County. South Chicago, you know, you can have many pockets. It could be C, it could be C plus, it could be D. So you've got to be very, very careful doing flips right now, especially if they are, if the rehab is going to be more than 50,000. So I highly suggest to do micro flips, easy, simple flips where the rehab is little, and in B neighborhoods, C plus neighborhoods, A minus neighborhoods. So that's my suggestion. So my personal advice would be just to do very quick, simple flips if you're thinking about them. But also remember, you've got to focus on top flipping markets. So let me show you how simple it is to find out the top flipping markets. So I'm going to go to area reports. And then right here, I'm going to select, let's say B for the market type. And then I'm going to select the approach is going to be flip. And then I'm going to search. So right here, I'm getting the top flipping markets. And I can sort these by purchase price, for instance, or median income, livability score. So there are many factors that I can filter them by. But these are like the top flipping markets. Now, what does that mean and why are they top flipping markets? So let me show you. So I'm going to pull up one of the reports, a random report. I'm going to show you one metric that you need to know that makes a market a great flipping market. So I'm going to scroll down to the sales analysis section. And then we're going to be looking at the months of housing supply. Okay, so right here. So this is Palatine. So months of housing supply right here. We have them by condos. It's going to be 2.36 and single family homes 4.7. So guess what? This tells you that if you have a condo, a duplex, or a townhome in Palatine, it's gonna sell in 2.5 months. That is just market time plus rehab time. So you can do a flip in Palatine for a single, not for a single family home, for a condo, duplex, or townhome in about 4 to 5 months. So in and out very quickly. But if you're gonna do a flip in Palatine for a single family home, it's going to take you just for market time about 5 months plus the rehab. So you can be in the transaction for no less than 7 to 8 months. So always look at the months of housing supply. So what this tells you is that assuming there are no new properties coming into the market, it's going to take 2.5 months for all the active listings for sale to run out. So there won't be any more active listings for sale after 2.5 months. So look for the 2.5 or less months of housing supply. That's what makes a great flipping market. And that's how you can filter them right here in ChicagoDealVault. So if you're thinking about doing flips, you've got to focus on the top flipping markets. Okay, so let me give you an example. The property that I went to see yesterday is in West Pullman. Okay, so that's like a C minus D plus neighborhood. And then let me show you the months of housing supply. So if we were thinking about doing a flip in West Pullman, let me show you. For a single family home, it's probably over 5 months. Let me scroll down right here. Months of housing supply for a single family home in West Pullman is 6.29. So just for market time, over 6 months plus the rehab, that means that you're going to do a flip in West Pullman for about a year's time. So it doesn't make sense to try to do a flip in this particular area. It's not a top flipping market. People are moving away from this neighborhood. The employment is not good. Crime is too high. It doesn't make sense to do a flip in this neighborhood. Does that make sense? So the numbers don't lie. So just focus on the top flipping markets. Super, super important. Great question.
Hi, Hugo.
Yes.
Hugo, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Sylvia. Yes, I have a question. So when you get a property from a bank,
Yes.
is there a way that you can do an inspection, or they don't allow you to do any of that?
No, they don't allow you to do that. I mean, you can do an inspection. You need to do your due diligence, but there is not a contingency clause based on the attorney's review and inspection. So when you buy a property from the bank, is as is. That
Mm-hmm,
means that even if you find issues, they're not going to give you a single penny in credit. Okay. There's an exception. I'm going to tell you what the exception is. But no, you need to do your due diligence. In fact, let me tell you, some of these bank-owned properties have the utilities turned off. Therefore, you need to get funding from either hard money lenders or private money lenders to buy those properties. You cannot go to conventional lenders like the big banks, Bank of America, Chase, Homebridge. They won't give you the money because they're going to need to do an inspection. The property is going to need to be in sort of like livable condition, which most REOs are not. So yeah, no, you buy what you see is what you get, as is. The only reason when you're gonna get a credit from the bank is if you have the property on the contract, let's say today, and then before you close, you do an inspection on the property, and then it flooded, right? Then you
mm-hmm.
can get credit. Then you can get
Okay,
credit.
but
But
this
go ahead.
this property, so the person has the cash. She wants to buy the property cash, and it's a bank owned. It was foreclosed. It's in very good condition, but it's almost like too good to believe it. So I know that you can't do an inspection. I just wanted to make sure, but isn't it um what was I gonna say? Isn't it right though? Isn't it true that they wipe off when the property goes in foreclosure, they wipe off all liens? Is true or is
Absolutely.
not?
It's
Okay.
true. That's why we love, and in fact, myself, focusing on bank-owned properties because you get what's called the special warranty deed. It's
Mm-hmm.
free of liens and encumbrances. Okay,
Okay.
so you get a clean title, no clouds on the title. All the previous either tax, utility, village liens are wiped out. So you get a special warranty deed. Sometimes you can get a general warranty deed. So that guarantees a clear and clean title. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I love bank-owned properties. But yeah, there are cases, that's what I was mentioning. Bank-owned properties is the second best lead pipe because you can get like awesome deals. We got one in Caesar for 135,000. The rehab was only 15,000. It was so minimal, and it appraised for like 235. So there was $100,000 spread. So you can still find those deals, but you
Mm-hmm.
buy them as is. What you see is what you get. You won't get any credit from the bank.
Okay. One more quick question. Do you have like I got an email with the scripts when I make phone calls. Um, do you have any scripts of how to talk to the bankers so I can make an offer? I know you explained in one webinar like how to make the offer through DealVault, but this property you don't have any information on the DealVault.
Yeah, let me
So,
show you. So we have two places for scripts. I'm gonna go
mhm.
on their Phantom properties right here.
Oh, okay.
In here, in the middle section, we have a couple of templates. So we
Mm-hmm.
have three templates that you can preview, and this shows you the script that you can use when talking to the asset manager at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you always need to talk to the asset manager, or you can talk to the attorney. So we're going to give you the attorney's contact information as well. So this is one place where we have the scripts to talk to the bank. Let me close these. So that's one section. Another section is right here. Go on their contracts and documents. This is a
Okay.
new tab. And then we have a section called scripts right here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, and then search, we have a lot of scripts right here. Okay. But you can use either under the Bankton properties or this section scripts. But pretty much it's very simple. Once you get in touch with the asset manager or the attorney, you can just say, I'm interested in this property that is owned by the bank. Would you entertain an offer? Where can I
Mm-hmm.
submit an offer? And what exactly is your client looking for. If you're talking to the attorney, if you're talking to the asset manager, you want to find out what the bank's reserve is. The bank's reserve means the bottom line for the bank, what they're going to sell the property for. So you want to find that out. So what's the bank's reserve? What are they looking for? You always want to ask what number they're looking for, because whatever offer you make is going to be wrong. It's either going to be too low or too high. You always want to ask what they're looking for. Super important. You need to know the bank's reserve, okay? And typically, not always, the bank's reserve is going to be what the previous outstanding balance was from the owner who lost the property. So let's assume we found that very often where the owner owed 150,000, the property is worth maybe 250, and the bank's reserve is 150, 160. Because also they incur some fees in the foreclosure process. So they're going to sell you the property for 160 and it's worth like 250. Does that make sense? Because the bank is not in the business of real estate. They're in the business of lending.
Yes,
They
yes.
want to dispose of the property so you can get really great deals from the banks.
Now, so I found the information. I was able to find information of the attorney. I don't have information on the asset manager. If I call this bank, should I ask for the asset manager so I can find out
Yes.
what's
Yeah,
the
you can
bottom
call the bank.
price?
Yes, you can call the bank and you can ask the attorney to give you the asset manager's contact information. If it's a large bank like Bank of America, Chase, that's going to be very difficult because they have a huge foreclosure department. So they most likely you won't get to the asset manager. But we do have in ChicagoDealVault a special shadow inventory. That's the one that Hip Rodriguez was talking about. We can give you access to buy properties directly from the bank, and these are large banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, directly and paying the reserve, so the minimum they're willing to take. Even if those properties are already listed in the auctioning platforms like Hubzu, auction.com, we can pull them from the back door. So if you're interested, we can get you access to that inventory. So
Yeah,
can you send us your, that'd be
would be
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sylvia, can you send us your cell phone number via the chat, and then Phil is going to call you right after the webinar.
Okay.
Great questions.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Sylvia. Any other questions, friends? Anthony, are there any new laws in Illinois for 2021? Just for the moratorium for evictions, they're set for January 12th, either the 9th or the 12th of January. But they may extend that for evictions in Cook County and overall in Illinois. Another question is it better to do flips or rentals if I'm over 75? So Mark, great question. Rentals will always outperform flips. And then rentals are less risky, less risky than flips. So flips, to me, in my opinion, they're always super risky. Why? You need to get 3 numbers down. You need to make sure that you buy it for the right price. You need to make sure that the rehab is under budget, and you need to make sure that you sell it for the right price. But remember, we're going to have declining values in 2021 towards the summer, fall. So doing a flip, it's quite risky, in my opinion, unless it's a micro flip, right? If it's a small rehab, very easy, then and then you buy it for the right price again, and the rehab is light, then it's safer. You can do that, especially right now that it's a seller's market. So flippers are making a bigger profit right now because the shortage of inventory. Okay. But again, in my opinion, flips are more difficult and they are more work and they're riskier. But if it's a micro flip, by all means, right now, it's the time to do it. It's the time to sell. But overall, rentals are going to outperform flips. So that should be your long-term strategy, rentals. Another question is...
Hugo, I have a question.
Yes.
For the 1031, are they saying that they're going to be getting rid of that? Is that something that you know anything about or no?
No, I don't think they're going to get the 1031 exchange.
Yeah, like if you have a property and then like you, let's say you sell it and then instead of getting another property. Like if you don't get another property, you have to pay the capital gains tax, right? So
Right, exactly. So that's a 1031 exchange. No, no, they're not getting rid of that. I know some people were currently doing that. So you have up to 6 months to close on a new property. So you sell your property, and to avoid paying taxes on the net gain, then you need to find another one in the next 2 to 3 months, and then you have to close on that in the next 6 months. No, that still remains in place.
okay,
For
thanks.
sure, no problem. Now, if you have a property with a lot of equity, another option is, instead of you selling the property, you might think about refinancing the property, because right now the interest rates are so low, and you can do a cash out refinance. So not only are you going to bring down the interest rate so low, but you're going to be able to also cash out money to buy more real estate. So you don't necessarily need to sell the property. Consider refinancing, because wealthy people don't sell properties, they refinance. And then if you have a lot of equity, guess what? If that property is a rental, then your tenants get to pay for that money that you are taking out. So it's a win-win versus selling the property.
What about Section 8 homes?
Say that again?
I'm sorry, I've been trying to refinance, and it's a commercial property, and
Yes.
I'm meeting nothing but dead ends.
Okay, so what's the problem that you're having right now with the refinance? Who are you refinancing with?
Basically, of course, my income is fine, but once they look at my tax report, of course, it looks terrible with the depreciation and all the expenses. So I need to, I can't go to a regular Fannie and Freddie bank.
Okay. Yeah, no, you need to go to a commercial refinance bank. So we're doing like several refinances right now. So do me a favor, can you send us your contact information, and then Phil, can you call her? We're going to give you some commercial banks for you to refinance. They're going to be looking at the deal itself, not so much at your personal income.
Well, that's what I'm looking for, because I owe $322 on the property, and it's worth easily $1.5 million.
$1.5 million, and you owe how much?
322.
300?
Yeah, 322,000.
Whoa.
Problem
Yeah.
is I'm paying 5.75% interest.
Okay, yeah, no, you have a lot of equity. That should be so easy, because you have so much equity. So
What I thought.
yeah, no, of course. So you just need to work with the right bank. So we're going to give you the right contact information. So if you can send us your phone number via the chat, we'll call you and then send you the contact information for a commercial bank who can help you with the refinance.
Okay, so just go on your main site and send it to you.
Yeah, so via the chat, just via the chat, you can give us your phone number. You can verbally tell us your phone number, and Phil is going to write it down right now. So what's your cell phone number?
920-559-2774.
Perfect. Phil, did you get it? Phil, were you able to write down the cell phone number? Okay, let me. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat. So what's your, I'm gonna write it on a piece of paper again. What's the number?
920-559.
920-559.
2774.
Okay, and your name?
Mary
Mary. What's your last name, Mary?
Hedin. H is in Henry, E is in Edward, D David, E N is in Ellie.
Okay, perfect, Mary. So we'll call you back.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No
Yeah,
problem.
it's been very frustrating.
Awesome. Are there any other, thank you. Are there any other questions on the line that I can help you answer?
Hey, Hugo, it's Felipe. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Felipe, I can hear you.
Hey, I was curious. What's the criteria on DealVault for the vacant property list?
Okay, so the vacant property list is people, they're vacant, and then most of the owners are out of state. Some
The reason
are
I
still
asked is because I did a search for Lions, and
yes.
my name pops up in there as a motivated seller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's why I was curious what the criteria is, like what the real criteria. I know it's supposed to be vacant properties, but what's the criteria that you guys are using to assume that it's vacant?
Do
And
you have a property in Lions
yeah, I bought that thing about 4 years ago, dude.
4 years ago?
And it
Uh,
shows up, my name shows up on here with as a motivated seller. That might explain why I'm getting phone calls from certain people.
That's something that, do me a favor, can you send us the address? We can further look into that because do you have it rented right now?
Yeah, it's been rented for 4 years. So that's why I'm
Interesting.
curious if everybody else on this list, if they're false positives or if there really are vacant properties.
Yeah, if you can send us the address, we
Yeah,
can
I'll throw it in the,
look into that. Yeah,
yeah,
we can look into
I'll throw it in the chat window right now.
Yeah, thank you, Felipe.
Yep.
Are there any other questions on the line? Okay, so we got the address. Are there any other questions on the line? It could be anything. It could be related to the topic or something different, any resources you may need, that you're stuck, something that you need help with. That's what we're here for.
Hugo, I guess it's me again, Felipe. So it sounds like you've been successful at speaking to banks on bank-owned properties. Is that true?
Yes, through the access to the shadow inventory that we have, absolutely.
So the bank asset managers that you've spoken to, have you developed a relationship with those asset managers to kind of continue to get more properties from them?
Great question. The way it works is that we have a partner. His name is Jacob, okay? He's the one with the great relationships with all these asset managers at different banks and also at the auctioning sites. So thanks to him, we got all this inventory. Like today, we got 300 properties, 327 properties just today. And they're banked on properties. We do our due diligence on all of them. I mean, not on all of them, the ones that make sense. And if we like them and the numbers make sense and it's vacant and so forth, we can say, hey, Jacob, we would like to pull this property. We would like to buy it. And then boom, he does his magic. And then we get a contract directly from the bank at their reserve price.
So that list that you're getting from Jacob, is that the same list that I'm looking at on DealVault, or is it a different list?
Let me show you where that is. So let me share my screen. So we have two shadow inventory. One is on their off-market properties, right here, banked on property. That's one of them. And the other one is just a separate tab right on its own, shadow inventory, and then click on target. So you see today we got 323 just today, this morning. So off the oven, these properties, 323. And what's really powerful is that in these properties, let me just pull up one of them. You get what the reserve price is. It's called target. So we know how much we can pay for this property. Oh, guys, what a coincidence. This is the property that I went to see yesterday. Actually, or the other day, like a day or 2 days ago. This property in Chicago, you know why it caught my attention? Check this out. I'm glad that I pulled this over. So we could buy this from the bank for $111,000. The ARV on this property, it's in the upper 100s, okay? So this is the spread that I was telling you all. We have to have a spread of 80 to 100,000. My next question is, how much is the rehab gonna be? So let me do a search on this property and let me show you some pictures on it. You're gonna be amazed. So I'm gonna scroll down right here. So I'll show you these pictures. Okay, look at these pictures. They look very nice. I mean, look at the rehab. This was a rehab for a flip, and it was last sold about 3-4 years ago. So my thinking is, what's going to be the wear and tear on this property? I mean, they did all the bells and whistles already. Even the basement is finished. So my thinking is, and it's a brick home. I said, you know, we could do a micro flip on this one, right? Or maybe we do a rental. Either way, this is a cash flow neighborhood. So I went yesterday or the other day, and then I did door knocked. I talked to the guy, and then I said, listen, we typically offer 3,000 for cash for keys. And then the guy said, well, I might consider 7,000, I mean 10,000. So 10,000, if the property is in the same condition, it may still work. Our max allowed offer, actually based on ChicagoDealVault, it says, yeah, it says 100,000, but the rehab being 80 to 40,000. So we could afford to pay up to 130, 135 for this property if the rehab is very minor. So we could afford to pay the 10,000. Unfortunately, he didn't get back to me. He's in the Cook County, Chicago neighborhood. So right now with the eviction moratorium, maybe his thinking is I could get maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 months of free rent, which is going to amount to more than 10,000. So maybe his thinking is that he needs more money. I mean, he's staying in a very nice property, but that's just an example. I did my due diligence on the property. If I was able to strike an agreement with the guy right away, I would get this on the contract. So in fact, before I drove to the property, I sent a message to Jacob. I said, you know, through the inquiry button right here, I said, is this available? And then he responded right away. He said, yeah, it's available. But you know, he needed to know very quickly because this property is going for auction actually either today or tomorrow. So let me show you. This is with Hudson and Marshall right here. So Hudson and Marshall is auctioning this property, and there are 19 hours before the auction begins. The minimum bid is 55,000. So this is the cool thing. Oh, let me share my screen. You're not seeing my screen. So I have it up on the screen. This property is going for auction in 19 hours. Minimum bid is 55,000. So when you buy properties through the shadow inventory on DealVault, you don't need to engage in a bidding war, right? You're going to pay the reserve price, what the bank's bottom line is, which is awesome, right? Because we will never ever overpay for the property, nor are we going to engage in a bidding war. So, but unfortunately, we could not get an agreement with the owner. So therefore, we're gonna let it go. So I let it go because it'll be an issue for funding, right? And also, we need to have access to the premises. Otherwise, it's too risky because they can vandalize the entire property. We can never get them out in many, many months to come. So it's way too risky. So that is why we wouldn't do that. But that's an example, Felipe, of how you can buy properties directly from the bank. You're gonna know the reserve price. You just need to do your due diligence, whether it makes sense, number-wise, location, market, and the occupancy, if it's vacant or occupied. We did about a month ago, we bought a property that was occupied, but guess what? We made an agreement, cash for keys, with the owner. So we paid them $3,000 and they moved out. So that's the only condition that we have to move forward with the transaction. But again, we can buy the properties from the bank, directly from the bank.
Thanks,
So
Hugo. And the difference between those two tabs, is it exactly the same, or is there a difference between whether you get it from the off-market tab or the other tab?
So let me go back to the system. So the only difference between these two is that all the members in ChicagoDealVault have access to this tab, the bank-owned properties. But to have access to this shadow inventory that you can buy from the back door, paying the reserve price, is that you need to be vetted by Jacob. You need to provide your entity docs and your proof of funds or line of credit. And then you also need to have a yearly membership. That's the only difference. Because once you commit to buy the property, you need to follow through. You cannot wholesale the property. You need to close on the property because Jacob is pulling all these strings from Marshall and Hudson to get it off from the asset manager at the reserve price. Therefore, he expects you to close on the property. So it takes just the vetting call and that's it.
Okay.
So that's the main difference. No problem.
That's good to know. Thank you.
No problem. Friends, are there any other questions on the line?
Yeah, I have a quick question about like the hard money lenders. If we
Yes.
we sign up through Chicago Deal Vault are the eligibility requirements to get the financing from the hard money lenders different versus if we go straight to them?
Absolutely. So we are going to, you're going to get better terms, and it's going to be, I would say, better service as far as response rate. So when you say, I'm part of ChicagoDealVault, because we already have an agreement with many of these hard money lenders that we're going to give them qualified members in exchange for better terms. So they're getting more business, but in exchange, we want to pass on the savings to you. So you're going to get better interest rates, better terms overall, and it's going to be quicker. So absolutely. And that's the whole purpose of sharing our preferred partners, that you get preferential treatment. And that's how it works, right? It's who you know. And therefore, we're sharing all our resources with all of you for you to be successful.
Hugo, I just wanted to get a quick breakdown, if you could, of what are some of the eligibility requirements to get the financing from these lenders. Like just a quick breakdown,
Okay, so very simple. They will for sure need to run your credit. You're going to need to provide proof of your liquidity. That means your pension or your 401k, pension plans, statements, bank accounts, experience, and your goals. That's all they need. So they want to have a really good understanding of your profile and experience in real estate. But the most important is for them, they want to minimize the risk, right? So they want to know your experience and your liquidity. And obviously, once they have all that information, they can issue an approval letter or a line of credit. And when you bring them a deal, they're going to go through the underwriting process, but they're asset-based. That's the key. If you have a great deal, it's going to be very easy or easier for you to get funding, okay, through them, because they look at the deal, at the property, to make sure that you have equity, you have the debt coverage ratio is over 1.2, which you're going to get when you have this spread that I mentioned of 80 to 100,000, and to make sure that it will cash flow if you decide to buy the property. So that's the criteria. And the better your FICO score is, the better interest rate you're going to get. So if you have over 720, you're going to be getting the best and lowest rate. And again, don't forget the private money lenders, because not only are they going to be able to finance 100% of the transaction, they can also finance 100% of the rehab. Hard money lenders, on the other hand, are going to finance up to 90 or 80% of the purchase price, and they will also finance 100% of the rehab. Okay, so private money lenders, it's also a great resource. Either one of those two. And then private money lenders is relationship based, is who you know. Again, in DealVault, we have thousands, over 4,000 private money lenders. We also have internal private money lenders within ChicagoDealVault. So members who all they want to do is lend money to investors like you and I. Are there any other questions? Okay, so there's another question. So gotta have great deals, exactly, Brian, for private money lenders and hard money lenders. Nick, this question and answer format was very interesting. Maybe you should consider doing this once a month. Did your daughter have the disco? Yes, that's great, Nick. Yeah, my daughter turned on the, I don't know where she left the remote, so that's why the disco lights are going on in the background. But yeah, no, absolutely, we should do this Q&A more often. I think this helps a lot. Thank you for the feedback, Nick. Are there any other questions on the line?
Hugo, can you possibly put the link for tomorrow's call on the chat, please? I'm looking through my email, I don't find it.
Yeah, so let me send it right now. So tomorrow, I'm going to bring a private money lender, a hard money lender, and we're going to talk about sources for funding. I just pasted via the chat tomorrow's event.
Thank you.
And then another question is, do you repipe properties with copper when the property has galvanized pipe? For rental, okay, so great question, Eric. Do you do copper piping? So this is the bottom line. If we're doing a new bathroom, go rehab, yes, we will have to remove the galvanized and then put copper piping, because otherwise, if it's especially a rental, you're gonna get calls regarding blockage in the drainage when you have galvanized property. So if you're investing $4,000–6,000 in a new bathroom, you do have to remove the galvanized and do just copper piping. It's super important, especially, let me tell you, when you do a brand new bathroom, you're gonna have a rough plumbing inspection and a final plumbing inspection, right? Or finished plumbing inspection. So when you do the rough plumbing inspection, they're gonna have you remove the copper pipings, okay? The galvanized piping. And then they are gonna do an inspection. So before you cover all the walls, yeah, so when you get a permit, you're gonna need a plumbing permit to do that. So yeah, when you're doing brand new bathrooms and kitchens, over 90% of the times you're gonna need to remove galvanized, and it's a good practice, and it's inspections are gonna require that, and you're gonna be better off, especially if it's a rental. Another question? Okay, so another question is, do you have any sources of mortgage for a second home in Wisconsin? Yeah, so when we call you, Mary, we're gonna give you the resources. Now, if you still don't have access to Chicago Deal Vault, I'm gonna give it to you for free. So the way to do that is go to Chicago Deal Vault, and then I'm gonna give you the link for the sign-up form. We're gonna give it to you for free for the next 30 days, not 30 minutes, the next 30 days. So please fill that out, and then under the package, select Special Chicago Deal Vault. So the package is Package Special Chicago Deal Vault, and the promo code is retire. Okay, get it for free for the next 30 days. So if you still don't have access to our resources, please make sure that you get it for free for the next 30 days. Any other questions, friends? Any other questions? Please make sure that you join tomorrow's webinar. It's going to be really cool. All sources of funding. So we're going to cover that in more detail. I'm going to bring a private money lender, hard money lender, and you know what? I might also bring a conventional lender. Why not? So I'm going to bring all the sources that you're going to need, okay, for your front-end purchase and for your refinance. So my daughter is ready to play, guys. Any other questions? Are there any lenders who can refinance without W-2 requirements? Absolutely, Parvez. So we'll send that over to you. We have some lenders that, I personally don't have a W-2, and we're refinancing left and right properties. So we'll send that over to you.
Hey, Hugh, it's Felipe again. How much time does it typically take for Jacob to vet somebody?
Great questions. He's in a backlog. Sometimes it's taken quite some time, a couple of weeks, but we always push Jacob. Hey, Jacob, please make sure that you do the vetting call for these people. If they still have not been vetted, we push Jacob because he's so busy. He's nationwide. That's the thing. But he only gives us Illinois and Indiana inventory. So sometimes we have to push him, but you're going to get vetted for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, friends, I'm looking forward to see you all tomorrow. Funding webinar, everything about different sources of funding. We're going to give you all the contacts. I'm going to bring a panel of great key players in the funding industry. So please make sure that you join. Another question is, do you have recommended GC? Absolutely, Brian. So right here, let me share my screen. We have like over 12 GCs. So on the preferred partners, go to general contractors, and then boom, we have like 16, 17 GCs. So please feel free to reach out to them, Brian. They're right here on their general contractors. Any other questions, friends?
Yeah, I lost my page. I don't know how to get back on it.
Oh, okay. Is this Mary?
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. We'll call you back, Mary. We got your
Yeah.
information. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm going to remain on the line for just one more minute in case you have any further questions. So thank you everyone for joining. I had a great time meeting with all of you. I hope you learned a lot today, and you're going to get the replay first thing in the morning tomorrow. So thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If you have any further questions, please send them via the chat. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Please make sure that you RSVP for tomorrow's event.